Okay. Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon, ma'am.
Good afternoon. On
Very good
behalf of
afternoon.
Institution Innovation Council at Symbiosis Centre for Distance Learning, I, Dr. Sunita Nikam, extend a warm welcome to all participants joining us today for this enlightening session on innovation and prototype validation. Today's session is designed to provide you with a comprehensive understanding of principles and practices involved in validating innovations and prototypes. These skills are crucial for any startup or entrepreneurial venture. Throughout this session, you will gain valuable insights that will help you to navigate the challenges of turning innovative ideas into successful startup. It's my pleasure to introduce our esteemed speaker for today's session, Dr. Atul Wadegaonkar. Dr. Atul is highly accomplished professional with an impressive academic and professional background. He holds bachelor's degree in mechanical engineering from NIT Raipur, a master's degree in production and industrial system engineering from IIT Roorkee, and a PhD. Dr. Atul brings over 35 years of expertise in research, digital transformation, strategic business management within the education industry. He has proven a track record of both public and private sectors, with significant achievements in developing and executing strategies for software related to student life cycle management, online admissions, web-based recruitment, library management, and e-governance. His past role includes serving as a Chief General Manager at MKCL and the Managing Director of Rajasthan Knowledge Corporation Limited. Currently, he is the Director for Business Strategy at Tecorizon Private Limited and advisor at Splashgen Private Limited and a strategic advisor for digital transformation at JSPM University. Dr. Wadegaonkar has made significant contribution to the field of mechanical engineering as a recognized PhD guide for Amravati University, guiding 3 research scholars in automation, business process reengineering, and supply chain management. He has over 40 research publications to his name and has organized and attended numerous conferences, seminars, and workshops. We are honored to have you, sir, today. We look forward to your presentation, and now the virtual podium is yours.
Right. Thank you so much for such a comprehensive introduction. I could rediscover myself through your introduction as such. Mm, Before we start with the presentation, you know, what I feel is that if I know the composition of the audience so that, it will be easy for me to align the things as per the audience, because it is
Yes, sir.
very essential. Know
Yes,
your customer is first thing in any initiative.
it's true, sir.
So
Sir,
if
we have SCDL current students with us. With this, we have called or invited. SCDL is having actually a support center concept is there.
hmm,
So the support center, in the sense, a prestigious institutes pan India, and we have invited support center directors, faculties, and students also in this workshop.
right. So students are working or
Yes, they all are the working professionals working in a corporate sectors, in variety of sectors they all are.
great,
So it's a combination of workshops, students and few faculties.
great. So please allow me to share this share screen.
Yes, sir. I'll just give you the rights. So you can share your screen.
I'll uh, am I visible?
Yes, sir. It's visible.
Fine. The presentation is visible, myself is visible, and I'm audible also.
Everything is done, sir.
Great. Sorry. The topic has been already highlighted by Madam. Now, before I proceed with the presentation, I would like to give some background about how I started working on this presentation. While deciding about the presentation, the moment I received the invitation on this topic, I had two options. First option was, which all of us quite frequently do, is try to collect as much material as possible from Google, Chat GPT, and all those things, and various books, identify the case studies highlighted in the literature, and try to compile it and make it understandable. And the second option was to see how many of these things I have done in my career, so that it is more consistent with my experience and more closer to the heart. you know there is a significant difference between falling in love and about love. So had it been I referred various books and textbooks and internet, it would have been about, typically about love, not falling in love. So this entire today's presentation is going to be very well connected with my past experience, and I'll try to give you as many examples as I have encountered in my life and implemented them successfully, unsuccessfully, both the cases, because successful and unsuccessful both cases to be presented. So audience may find that it is a typical travelogue of my corporate career. So if that happens, fine, I may be excused, but the intention is to put before you everything in the context wherein we are working as such, not quoting some big examples. So this is the table of contents. First, I'll try to set the context under which this presentation is going to be there, or interaction. Then, what is innovation? What is entrepreneurship? And how the validation of any idea is to be done, and how it is to be converted into a useful product, service, or business model, whatever you call, through lean startup approach. We will have some concluding remarks, and then question, answer, and discussion. It will be good if we have more interaction even during the presentation itself. If you feel like asking questions, probably that will be quite appreciated, because then it will be quite interactive in nature and both of us can enjoy. I hope that audience can transfer the control to the participants also very easily, as and when someone is interested in asking questions or someone is having a question. Now, I'll talk about two important triplets before we go ahead with. The first triplet is triplets of the society. Any society consists of workers and the employees, students and educational institutes, and citizens and government in broader category. There can be further subcategories, but broadly, the society consists of these. Do you agree with this point, audience? Am I audible?
Yes, yes, sir. Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
So, the relationship between workers and employees, students and educational institutions, and citizen and government, the way they are interacting with each other, and these triplets interacting with each other, has been changing right from agrarian society till today. It has been changing. That is important aspect. The second triplet is the triplet of change. First triplet of change is technology is changing. Second triplet is market or economy, which is also changing, and mother nature is also changing. This is also a very continuous process. But the moment we are meeting, or in the era when we are meeting, the biggest difference is the rate of change. We are into the second half of the chessboard. where any subsequent doubling effect is causing huge impact. So under such dynamic situation, what approach to be adopted, how to go ahead with the entrepreneurship, how to innovate, how to inculcate the ideas into a useful product or service is really challenging. You know, पहले पिताजी अपने बेटे को कहते थे हमारे जमाने में, and now today, elder brother, if at all he is having younger sister or daughter, he says हमारे जमाने में. So the zamana has shrunk to typically 3 years. So whatever you are doing, it's going to change in 3 years' time. So it's not just starting a business venture, starting some business idea. You have to keep on changing and changing continuously. And how to do that successfully is probably the biggest challenge all of us are facing in each sector of the society. If you see the change in the economy, agrarian economy, very simple example of our life. There are various other examples also. Whenever in the agrarian economy, for some function, if some food items are to be made, mothers used to make it from the scratch. Everything was available, uh, from farm commodities and other things. They were put together and it used to cost very little for conduction of any such function. The moment we moved into the goods and service-based industrial economy, the things have changed. For any function, mothers are making few items at home and paid few rupees to purchase other items. And now today, in the service or experience economy, now we are running short of time. The parents neither make any food nor purchase it. Instead, they spend money to outsource the entire event. So if you see from this place, there was very little opportunity for entrepreneurship. Here, since few things are purchased, so there is an opportunity for entrepreneurship. But in third case, service or experience economy, everything is outsourced. So it means there is a lot of entrepreneurial opportunities. The only thing is that how we encash it. One more hard learned lesson of my life before we go proceed further is that, whether we like it or not, in current context, in most of the industry, anybody having more than 45 years of age is by and large is not required by that industry. And however, looking at the longevity of life, our lifespan is around 75, 80. So you have 30 full years of life to do something. So whether we like it or not, post 45, each one of us in coming time will have to land into entrepreneurship. So if that is the case, it's better we think of entrepreneurship from today. And in that context, the initiative taken by the university, today's initiative, is highly appreciable. Now, what is happening is now, due to convergence of exponential technologies, we are moving from a static world into a dynamic world with extreme uncertainty. Let us be very particular about the two things, the convergence of exponential technology and extreme uncertainties. Before we proceed further, just to highlight you, what are those exponential technologies? The technologies are, when become exponential, they are readily available to us in the form of tools or with very less cost. So data science, artificial intelligence, machine learning, material infrastructure, biotechnology, 3D printing, quantum computing, algorithmic systems, automated platforms, IoT, Internet of Things, or Internet of Everything, body computer interface, blockchain, edge computing, augmented reality, and virtual reality. these are converging so fast and disrupting the entire current ecosystem. But there is a benefit of this, convergence of exponential technology. Whenever any such exponential technology converge or made available to the public, there is a big opportunity for internet size, big opportunity for entrepreneurship. Though it changes the current ecosystem, but it creates an entirely new ecosystem where businesses can be done. And it has been past history that whenever the sphere of the technology expand, the employability and opportunity, they do increase. So what is the solution under such situation? How to start with a startup, how to start with your entrepreneur journey? What I feel is that the solution lies in number one, continuous innovation. Number two, entrepreneurship mindset. And number three, lean startup approach. These are the three components which will make the the innovation into a product, new service, new process possible. We'll talk about innovation. We There can be product innovation. It means creating a new product or improving existing one. The biggest example of product innovation is the mobile phone that you are having. Do you agree on this point?
Yes, sir. Agree.
Because it started, forget about the mobile phone, it started with the purpose of communication. Those landline phones were there. Then we moved to the feature phone and now smartphone. It's just not a piece of communication. It is something, it itself is a ecosystem. How many of you have recently observed, most of you are using WhatsApp? Am I right?
Yes, sir.
Uh, Have you seen Meta has introduced AI component also in it, in WhatsApp?
Yes.
And there itself, you can, use AI to find out what Chat GPT was doing, has now been integrated with a typical that type of generic AI is integrated into mobile phone. So, how the, frequently and destructively, the products are getting innovated. Similarly, there are process innovation also. You know, पहले, Toyota manufacturing or lean manufacturing was considered as one of the biggest. Uske pehle, if we talk about Ford assembly line, was the biggest process innovation. Then total productive maintenance was another method. Just in time. All these are various process innovation to, to make the products easily available or to deliver the things as quickly, as efficiently as possible. Similarly, there are business model innovation and developing new ways to create, deliver, and capture. We have seen such models, Ola, Uber, Airbnb. These are, innovation of business model, which we see around and we are enjoying them also. When we talk about the technological innovation, earlier it was, user needs and technological awareness. They used to create ideas, but it is no longer true. Now, user needs may not necessarily be explicit. They may be inexplicit also. Similarly, technology awareness is not sufficient. We have to be aware of the convergence of exponential technologies. So that is creating not only ideas, rather those ideas are reasonably disruptive in nature. Then we have to test the feasibilities, identify the feasibility, testing, pilot project deployment, assessment, refinement, scale up, and again, that cycle goes on and on and on. But in the current scenario, when the problem of abundance is there, the choice is becoming very difficult. Now we have to, whether we have to go for research work or creative work or innovative work. Should we focus on modernity or humanity? Should we talk about the process or agility? Should we talk about strict supervision or collective wisdom? Should we focus on individual efficiency or team output? These are the questions going to arise as we proceed further in our entrepreneurial journey. What do you feel about this? What should be done? Audience, if you see the slide, what should be the focus? Am I audible and visible?
Yes, sir, you are.
Huh. So, what should be your choice? Suppose you are an entrepreneur. Anybody from audience?
Modernization.
Okay, good.
Sir, I prefer research work or creative work.
Okay. You know, based on my experience of last 15 years or so, we we are not in a position to choose one of them. Rather, to be successful, all are required to be there. It's a question of in what proportion. Whenever we are doing research, we should focus on IPR. But IPR is to be converted into innovative product to generate money. Similarly, creative work, all of you know, user experience is the must talked about point. So the things are not only to be functional, they are required to be beautiful also. So we cannot run away from the creative work also. So these are at what stage of product or process innovation we are, it depends on, but it's going to be mix of that. Similarly, modernization and humanity. If you take the teaching part of it, the technology is playing its own role, but the touch component of the teacher is always required to transform the students. So it's not modernization or using tool only. The humanity is also there, but the question is at what stage? Same is the case with when in the early part of your entrepreneur journey, agility is going to play a bigger role. But thereafter, once we expand, agility as well as the process are going to play a vital role. If the things are mechanical in nature, then strict supervision is all right. But as you know, the things are quite uncertain, and uncertainty is the only certain thing. Under such circumstances, the collective wisdom is going to play an important role. Similarly, individual efficiency or team output. It depends on what type of problem you are addressing. So it's not one of them, it's all of them in a judicious mix based on the situation in which typically you are placed. Before we proceed to the various processes and other aspects of prototype, minimum viable product, and pivoting, etc., we will take few examples of innovative product, processes, and business models. Let us see one picture and please let me know, do you see any opportunity or any problem in this? Can you see the picture? This used to be a very common scenario in the school
Flexibility
days.
in the
Now,
height and source.
Yes, please.
The height of the student and the water source.
Correct.
That
Drinking
must be the
water,
flexible
sir.
one.
Ability of drinking
Great.
water being better.
Great. Wonderful.
So, if I talk about it, there is a wastage of water that is happening as well. So,
Great.
along with this, if there are glasses tied to a rope or something that can be fixed. So that would be helpful.
Great. Wonderful. Anything else? You see, so many perspectives, so many perspectives. One perspective was height, another perspective of wastage of water, a third perspective was clean water. Great. Now, the purpose of showing this picture to you is that uh, I met Professor Anil Agrawal of IIM Ahmedabad. Are you aware of? Have you heard of his name?
No, sir.
Huh. Professor, he is no longer there, but he is a member of the Innovation Council led by Dr. Mashelkar. But there was one course he used to run, which was Shodh Yatra in IIM Ahmedabad, wherein those who used to opt for that course, he used to take them along with him to identify the grassroots level innovation and grassroots level problem also. And they used to visit to the places during extreme weather. अगर राजस्थान में जा रहे हैं तो ठंड में या गर्मी में जाएंगे, मेघालय जा रहे हैं तो they will be during rainy season, so that they are exposed to extremities. The second thing, they used to stay in the schools, government schools only, to understand the problems of the masses, not the classes and grassroots. In one such interaction, he was interacting with the students, and the question was asked: "Is what is the major problem you are facing?" The one of our participant who said that the height. तो एक छोटे कम हाइट का बच्चा था, वो खड़ा हुआ बोला कि आई हैव अ प्रॉब्लम. बोले व्हाट? दोस tabs are on such a height that I have to wait for somebody to switch on the tab and drink water. And almost everybody appreciated. हाँ ठीक है, लेकिन ऐसा ही तो होता है, नल तो ऐसा ही रहता है. They could not find the solution because to find the solution, one of the most important aspect is, or to find any business opportunity, the one of the most important aspect is you must empathize with the problem. So all the audience, I am students and Professor Agrawal failed to empathize with his problem and give any solution. Then they asked the student himself, what solution do you find? What he said, ये जो pipe सीधा लगा हुआ है, you arrange it in an inclined manner. Those who are having good height, they will take water from other side, and person like me who is short will drink water from the other side. But everywhere throughout the country, you will find that pipes are something like this one. So the problem is that we fail to empathize. Empathy की उन्होंने definition भी बताई, because right now I'm focusing on basic things, because if you want to earn the money, all of us, what for we pay. हम डॉक्टर के पास क्यों जाते हैं? तकलीफ होती तो जाते. प्लम्बर को क्यों बुलाते हैं? तकलीफ होती तो जाते. So everywhere where there is a pain, there is a need of relief from the pain, and people are ready to pay for it. Such a simple thing. So we must learn to empathize with the problem. In Hindi, he defined the word empathy. हमारा प्रॉब्लम यह है कि हमें दिखता है लेकिन दुखता नहीं. अगर दिखने के साथ साथ दुखने लग जाएगा तो then we are empathizing. We are going to identify the business opportunities also. अभी यहाँ पर 3 लोगों ने अलग अलग empathize किया प्रॉब्लम. So one opportunity was water purifier at rural location where we may not be necessarily having the water tanks on such height. Dusra, one of the biggest problem of conservation of water. And third was the height. So there are 3 business opportunities available in this picture itself, just related to the pipe itself. If you go beyond, probably you can see so many other opportunities. Are you with me?
Yes, sir.
Can you tell me one of the example where you really empathize with the problem and try to solve it? हमें दिखता तो बहुत है, रोड के गड्ढे दिखते हैं, लोगों ने फेंका हुआ कचरा दिखता है, हेलमेट नहीं पहनने से एक्सीडेंट होता है ये दिखता है, लेकिन हेलमेट नहीं पहनते, ऐसे बहुत सारी चीजें. बट हैव यू एम्पैथाइज सम प्रॉब्लम एंड ट्राई टू सॉल्व इट? Any one of you, please share.
Yes, sir. In my region, the farmers are taking the advantage of many schemes. One of that is the poly house is one of that. But we could see that after some time, they are not able to produce anything inside that. So that is just lying as it is. So our students have developed only two parameters. One is the fogger and the temperature controller sort of thing. And with these two simple controllers, the farmers could able to produce uh, the very simple, they can produce agriculture.
Oh, that's great. That's great.
And at the first time itself, they could able to successfully produce the strawberry in that particular.
So, दिखता है और दुखता है.
Yeah.
So there is a business.
Yes.
There is a business. There is a business. There is a innovation. There is new idea, scope for new idea. There is opportunity for entrepreneurship. Scale, we can talk about something later, but there is always an opportunity that I wanted to, highlight. We'll see some more examples where, दिखता था लेकिन दुखता नहीं था. Can you see something here?
Yeah.
Trolley bags.
Huh?
Yeah, so carrying the heavy bags would not be anyone's, I mean, it's not everyone's cup of tea. So
Correct.
the invention of a trolley bag was really helpful to a lot of people.
Correct. Wonderful.
Will.
But if
the
you
bag
see,
with wheel.
Yeah, correct. But if you see, the wheels are the, typically were the first, typically after पत्थर से तोड़ने के बाद जो टूल बनने शुरू हुए, wheel was among the very first, if you could recollect, civilization. सेम ये बैग्स भी जो थे, ये टीन के थे, लकड़ी के थे, बट बैग्स भी थे. सिविलाइजेशन जैसे जैसे आगे बढ़ा, लेकिन ट्रॉलर स्ट्रॉलर बैग आने में कितने साल लग गए?
सही.
एक 50 साल पुरानी चीज है स्ट्रॉलर बैग, 50 भी नहीं होंगे जिस सेल पे अभी आए. Am I right?
Maybe because of the appropriate material.
अरे देखो, जो अपना बैलगाड़ी थी, उसके बाद हाथ गाड़ी से कूली लोग एक साथ चक्का और वो सब इस्तेमाल किया ही उन्होंने बैग रखने. वी 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 फेल्ट दैट कि ये हमारा ही काम है इतना वजन उठाना, इसलिए वो दुखता नहीं था. अभी जैसे मैडम ने कहा कि सबके कप ऑफ टी नहीं रह गया, या अभी तो ज्यादातर लोगों की कप ऑफ टी नहीं रह गया. So we have to identify such things ahead of the timeline and visualize something. So what you said is, to marry and the third, and अब उसके बाद कितने इनोवेशन हुए, you all know. अब तो सब्जी बाजार में भी जाते हैं तो छोटी छोटी स्ट्रॉलर वाली थैलियां आ गई. Can you see something here?
Yeah.
Movable seats.
Perfect. This is one combination now getting into the picture is that अगर आप एयरप्लेन से बिजनेस क्लास में फॉरेन टूर करेंगे तो you'll find that such type of arrangements are there. Now same model is now brought into the ICU also. वहां पेशेंट के साथ किसी और की जरूरत नहीं होती है, डॉक्टर को एसेसिबिलिटी चाहिए एंड सारे जो डिस्प्लेस हैं वो दिखने चाहिए. So now that ICU are getting redesigned. Can you see something here? Can you see some problem? Can you see some business opportunity? Can you see some innovation? I want to trigger so that we are in the mood of entrepreneurship, in the mood of generating ideas, in the mood of converting innovation into business. Can you see something? Some problems, some business opportunities, some challenges?
So
Storing of food.
Great. Wonderful.
Longer freshness and preserving the food for a longer time.
Right.
Without actually incurring any loss. And in case of bad harvest or a bad fishing time, they can still do the business with the means whatever is in the stock.
Perfect. So that is one aspect. If you are operating at a small scale, is it possible to have cold storage and investment to such an extent?
I think there is one more thing.
We can actually look into the collaborative or collective investment of the storage, where people like locker, how they keep it in the banks.
Perfect.
They can keep their particular means portions as storing.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect. Anything else?
Yeah, I see this fields also need water. Fish also needs water. Why can't we fill our fields with water and put our fish there?
Okay.
I mean, grow fish in the farms.
Great. Any other thing? Try to correlate. These are, और भी कोरिलेशन हो सकता है, थोड़ा और देखो. जैसे आपने फार्म का कोरिलेट किया है, see that lady is having mobile in her hand, maybe feature phone sort of thing, है ना?
Yeah. Right. So the lady is trying to coordinate with others across, might be over a distance, so to expand her business.
Correct. If those who are fish lovers, fish अगर fresh होती है तभी खाने का मजा है फिश के आइटम. अभी देखिए ये भी हो सकता, कई बार वो क्या है, जो छोटे लोग होते हैं जो गांव में पास में जाते हैं मछली पकड़ के लाते हैं, उनके पास ये सारे प्रोविजन नहीं होते हैं. What happens, then that the moment the requirement is over, you have leftover fishes, then they are literally thrown away or they are sold at a very low cost. But if two persons are having mobile, जो बेच रहे हैं उसके पास मोबाइल है और जो मछली जाले से पकड़ रहे हैं, they are also having mobile, so they can replenish. जाले में ही मछलियां रहेगी, पानी में ही रहेगी, फ्रेश रहेगी. रिप्लेनिश करने के टाइम पे जस्ट इन टाइम दे विल रिसीव अ कॉल कि अब मछलियां खत्म हो रही, थोड़ी और ले आओ, डिमांड ज्यादा है. So that way you are serving your existing customer in a better way. So there are various opportunities. One opportunity is serving the existing customer in a better way through use of technology. There is another way is, saving it for rainy days. Third is utilizing same place for multiple items. So, these are various types of innovation. The more we talk about, more opportunities we see. Now, can you see something here? Title is there, Women Self-Help Group.
Collaborating women who needs help with each other, so that they can find a way to get their own incomes without being abused in the families.
Perfect. Perfect. Can you extend further?
It's more of empowering women, basically.
Perfect.
You're coming out of a generation where they are dependent on somebody versus you're making them self-sufficient people.
Great. I will share one real case study with you. The first answer was very close to that, but how component was, I'll try to explain it. First thing, self-empowerment.
Okay,
yeah.
Can I try again?
Yeah, please. Why not? We are learning each other.
Basically, what I wanted to say was, if we look at the population in India, mostly women do work, but they don't actually, they're not that, they don't think that their work actually matters, whether it is in house or outside. And most of them do it from the home. They take it as a part of their daily tasks rather than their employment or source of income. That they can actually put the same thing a little more extra time or something to use and create an extra income. Help means instead of sewing their own clothes in the house to save the money. They can take up some extra clothes from the others and earn money from the store.
Perfect.
And similar kind of like-minded people, if we just put them together, and they can like run a business on their own.
Perfect. Now I will further extend it to, because these self-help women group, they belong to down to the sectors or strata of the society. They are reasonably exploited in the family, what you said. So one self-help group for such activity was formed, and in order to immediately exploit the possible business opportunity, the NGO who created this self-help group, they provided them feature phone. It's a quite old story, and they were told only 2-3 commands of feature कि अगर आप ये बटन दबाते हैं तो सारे के सारे ग्रुप में जितने लोग हैं उनको एक मैसेज चला जाएगा कि आ जाओ, इकट्ठा हो जाओ, देयर इज ए बिजनेस सपोर्ट. इतना ही अभी उनको बताया था क्योंकि पढ़े लिखे नहीं थे वो. सो they utilize this also, but typically in the rural sector where these women are working, their husbands are generally drunkards, and under the influence of drunken state, they physically assault also many women. So what they did was, they used to press the same button which was you told to them to assemble, and there is a business opportunity. They utilize it in another way. There is a threat, husband is drunken and he is going to hit me. तो ये बटन दबाते ही सारी औरतें मोहल्ले की उस जगह के पास की उन झोपड़ी के सामने आ जाती थी, एंड वो वायलेंट जो सिचुएशन थी, वो इतनी औरतें आने के बाद वो पति की शराबी उतर जाती थी और मारना पीटना बंद. So typically if you give tool for one purpose, it can be utilized for many other purposes also. So it's not necessarily that one tool can generate one business idea. It can generate not only ideas, empowerment, safety, so many other aspects of it. That is what, but you are very, very close to that. Thank you. Wonderful. Yeah. Can you see some challenges, some opportunities?
Yes, sir.
Yes, please.
Yeah, so basically, not many people can still afford something totally like automatic machine in the rural areas. So we can make them something where they can power their own machines using something like wheels in the the mechanism in the bicycle. Yeah.
Perfect. So this is washing machine designed by a school-going girl who has to travel some 15 kilometers from her place to join the school. So in that process, she designed this, and रास्ते में जाते आते कपड़े धुल के सूख भी जाते. Yeah. Can you see something here? Sorry.
Affordable filters.
Correct.
Water filter.
गरीबों का सबसे बड़ा प्रॉब्लम यह है कि गलत पानी पीने की वजह से बीमार होते हैं. बीमार होने की वजह से दवा का खर्चा बढ़ता है और इनकम भी बंद हो जाती है. When I was working with MKCL, there we had our firm which was looking after the CSR also. So we collaborated with BARC, and we promoted such type of water filter. बहुत ज्यादा हेड की जरूरत नहीं, इतना खराब पानी भी, and these were nano filters not operating on electricity. And we conducted experiments at various levels. First was we installed the water purifier, bigger water purifier in a village school. What we observed that, how quickly people understand and grab the opportunity. तो बाद में हमने देखा कि बच्चे आने से पहले सुबह स्कूल में औरतें आने लग गई और वो यहाँ से पानी भर के ले जाती, क्योंकि उनको समझ में आया कि जब से स्कूल में वाटर फिल्टर लगा है बच्चों का पेट खराब होना बंद. सेम एक्सपेरिमेंट विद जो गन्ना तोड़ने के लिए जो लेबर्स इकट्ठा होते हैं उनके वहां पर भी हमने किया. So their income was increased because उनके daily काम कर सकते थे and hospitalization. So there is always an opportunity. And nano filters were available with bark, and they were being used extensively for the army persons at remotest location. But it was not created for masses that we did. And there is a lot of difference. Something like this. Those who are in Maharashtra, they might have heard the word MSCIT, the computer literacy course. This was one of the biggest process innovation, wherein the contents and quality was created at centrally, distributed centrally, controlled centrally, business model was controlled centrally, and local entrepreneurs were promoted to create local infrastructure and earn money. And through this, today, 1.5 crore have been empowered through digital literacy. Same model was replicated in Rajasthan, where I was managing director. Same model is replicated in Haryana. Same model is replicated in Bihar. Same model is replicated in Orissa, where at very low cost, high quality computer education was given. Earlier, for MS Office, people used to pay 25,000, 25 years down the line. That was brought to 2,000. And that was the business innovation. Now, let us talk about, this was something about the innovation that we interactively talked about. Let's talk about something entrepreneurship. Innovation, the next step is taking into the right place, that is entrepreneurship. I was talking to one of my friends who was a serial entrepreneur, and he has created quite number of startups in US, and now he's in India. So what he said is that, for startup to be successful, he was talking in context of software startups. One person should be very good at programming, who should be, developing software 10 times faster than his colleagues, so that the overall efficiency of the team goes up. And second one is good at selling. If these two come together, then there is a very higher chance of entrepreneurship. Most of the time, generally salespersons, they try to create business model, so they become trader. And the engineering mindset or creative mindset, they keep on creating their product and services, but fail to deliver or generate profit. So these two can, and most of the time, if you see, most of the startup, particularly in India, they were the combination of these two types of individuals. So two different skill sets, if they marry, then there is a good opportunity for success in entrepreneurship. And today is an era of collaboration, no competition. Then vision, risk, and courage, they have to judiciously marry. Then only entrepreneurship will happen. And third thing is networking, and networking. This is the lesson I learned when I took retirement and thought of starting my own small consultancy firm. Then I realized, how important that networking is, because the ecosystem or the network that I created, through that only the business came. If you start going for business, then it's very, very, very tough. So all those who are here, now my humble request to each one of them is that try to create network, not only create, nurture it. Then as long as you nurture it, there will be a time when you can exploit that network also. So all of us have to get into the entrepreneurship sooner or later. So from today itself, make it a point that create network. When we talk about startups, those 5% successful startups are talked about. Their case studies are available, books are available, hundreds of books are written on that also, particularly such situation is there. And those are, big ideas, business model, whiteboard strategy, and the success is there. But in these also, you will find that this combination, point one, 2 and 3 was there. But when we talk about person like us who want to get into the entrepreneurship, we belong to that 95% category who are, they are working hard and trying to innovate. And in those innovation, what we fail is we fail to correctly account our innovation. So the success of these 95% person depends on how we prioritize our decision about product, service, or process. How we decide about the target customer, kiska sune, kiska nahi sune. Similarly, courage to keep on testing our vision, and if found wrong, modify it. That is very, very essential when it comes to entrepreneurship. And as I said, we are moving in an era where things are changing very fast, very fast. You have very little time to succeed. Under such circumstances, the most suitable approach of any entrepreneurship, from idea to entrepreneurship, is lean startup approach, where the idea which technological innovation diagram, if you could recollect, we have an idea, we formulate some hypothesis, based on that we are going to do the business, and for that we create prototype, we create minimal viable product, we test that product, we measure the effectiveness of the product and our hypothesis based on the data, and we learn something new, and we keep on continuously this in a closed loop to move into the next and next level of excellence. We talked about startup, but what is startup? A startup is a human institution designed to create a new product or service under conditions of extreme uncertainty. Are you with me on this point?
Yes, sir.
तो अगर अभी हम यहाँ पर we are 41, excluding me, it is 40. If you want to start up, where you will spend your money and where you will save your money? Let us stop here before we move ahead. Anyone? There is, typically in today's our discussion, no answer is wrong. It's the context in which we see when it's going to be wrong or right. Yes, please.
And start by saving money on by starting it online. Perfect. And focus more on the quality of the product. If I'm producing anything materialistic, good, that thing I will focus on the quality and the service that I will provide after that.
Perfect. So you are not going to burn money on office?
No, sir.
So most of that is why garage culture. अमेरिका में सबके घर में गैराज होते हैं, तो गैराज से ही शुरू हुए स्टार्टअप. हमारे यहाँ अभी जो कोवर्किंग स्पेसेस हैं, ये सब चीजें हैं, ये टिपिकली दीज आर फॉर सेविंग द कॉस्ट. यू ऑपरेट फ्रॉम योर होम, क्लाइंट के साथ मीटिंग करने किसी अच्छे होटल में चले जाइए, स्पेंड सम टाइम, come back. One aspect which I want to re-emphasize is this. Can you see this last line? What is that? Networking. If you see the history of coffee house and industrialization of UK, there is a strong relationship. कॉफी हाउस ही ऐसी जगह थी जहां पर किताबें और इंटेलेक्चुअल लोग बैठते थे. देयर वाज एन अपॉर्चुनिटी टू इंटरैक्ट, एंड मोस्ट ऑफ द बिजनेस इनोवेशंस, बिजनेस वेंचर स्टार्टेड फ्रॉम कॉफी हाउस. सेम इज द केस टुडे. अगर आप आज जाके बैठेंगे कि ज्यादातर जो न्यू एंटरप्रेन्योर्स होते हैं, दे सिट इन द कैफे कॉफी डे और shared workspaces where lot of other inputs are available to at low cost, infrastructure cost low, and opportunity to get new ideas, interact with more people is there. So if you are thinking about starting any venture, It is very essential that your meeting should be at co-working places or cafeteria where people are frequently spending a lot of time discussing, and you overheard so many ideas and get connected to so many people. And because of the extreme uncertainty, we have to be as, burn less money and before earning.
Sir, I have a doubt.
Yeah, please.
Can I ask?
Yes, by all means. That is for what we are.
Excellent, sir. The previous slide, which says extreme uncertainty.
Right.
When we say extreme uncertainty, why would we even start up?
But देखिए दो, मैं इसका डायरेक्ट जवाब देने के बजाय थोड़ा सा एक इनडायरेक्ट जवाब दूं. आप पसंद करते हैं कि नहीं, देखिए. एक बंदा एक फ्लाईओवर के नीचे सोया होता है. उसको आके एक बंदा पूछता है कि ये क्यों पड़े हो ऐसे, थोड़ा कुछ काम करो. तो बोलता है काम करने से क्या होगा? तो बोले पैसे मिलेंगे. पैसे मिलेंगे तो क्या होगा? तो आपके लिए रिसोर्सेज बढ़ेंगे, आप ऐश करोगे. तो वो बोलता है मैं अभी क्या करूं? So uncertainty, we have to live the life as a human being. We have to cope up with uncertainty and go ahead. We cannot sit like that only. We are human beings. That is why so many changes have happened in civilization. Uncertainty was a part of it, but now because of the rate of change, uncertainty is on higher side. But it doesn't mean that we stop doing it. That is why I said, we know that after 40 we will not have job. That is certain. But does it mean that we earn so much in 40s so that remaining 30 years we will be able to spend? But we want some work also to survive. So in that situation, the passive income plus active contribution, active income will, make the life meaningful. So it is the uncertainty only which, gives some meaning to the life. If the things are certain, things are predictable, then it becomes reasonably monotonous. It is human nature.
No, sir.
That is one of my perspective.
Sorry, sir. While I understand what you're saying, what I'm trying to explain is, if at all you are a startup entrepreneur, you need to be very clear with your vision on what is your business going to be, right? You can probably term it as higher risk, but you cannot say uncertainty.
Really, the more
then your vision goes then your vision goes nonsensical, right? I mean, it doesn't make sense, is what I'm trying to say.
I fully agree with you.
What sir is trying to say is, see, for example, the pandemic came through. No one had thought of remote working or hybrid mode of working. That was like suddenly it happened that they could not stop the businesses, but they adopted it such that the businesses went on even in the uncertain stage, which was pandemic.
One more aspect which I want to highlight to uncertainty is that, the life cycle of any product or any business process is very small. So you have to keep on innovating.
Correct. That comes under your vision, right? I mean, see,
absolutely.
If you take a classic example of Nokia versus iPhone, why Nokia failed? Because they were not clear. I mean, they did not have a vision for innovation.
Perfect.
So, I mean, I'm only asking, should we even term it as rather uncertainty, extreme uncertainty? We should be looking at extreme risk, because
it's perspective. I'll tell you why. Just one aspect. The climate change. Nobody thought that the Arabian Sea will behave the way it is behaving. No one thought that कि पूना में, पिंपरी चिंचवड़ में water logging है and dry in Kothro. So such type of, there is a combination of risk and uncertainty. So if you are operating some business in such scenario, there is uncertainty. But what you said is correct. If your vision is right, that is why I say vision, risk and courage. It's not just one thing. If you see somewhere here, I said the vision, risk and courage.
Correct, sir. No.
But risk is increasing. The only thing I want to communicate is risk is day by day increasing.
Perfect. No. What I'm coming from is, as a startup businessman, if you are my VC, correct? I mean, you are my VC. I come to you and I'm presenting my business, and I say, extreme uncertain about my business. Would you be funding my business?
No, he is not going to say, I am uncertain about business. I am certain about business, and I know what uncertainty are going to be there in the business. I am certain about it. If I highlight all these risks, I am better taking a very well-informed decision. I am not afraid of uncertainty. I want to exploit uncertainty. Let us put it this way. Right. Wonderful. Wonderful.
Thank you, sir.
Right. So, lean startup, lean startup, you have to keep on what I mean to, again, if we connect with the uncertainty, we have to keep on fine-tuning our business continuously. अभी आज हम जब commuting पे जाते हैं, commuting करते हैं, office to home, home to office, we are doing so many manipulations every day in a different way. Some detour, something like that, clutch brake mechanism, we are not aware of, but that is being done very continuously. So that is what is startup is. It's not like rocket launch. अगर एक बार गड़बड़ हो गया, निकल गए तो निकल गए. ये scope नहीं रहेगा, which was earlier capital incentive economy में, that was the approach. But now it is something analogous to driving a car for computing between home and office. These are various hypotheses which you have to test when you are trying to innovate, convert an idea into business. What are the hypothesized customers? Who has the problem? Because I said, if there is a problem and if you empathize with it, there is a business about it. So who has the problem? Be specific about, age, title, gender, person, everything. And one of the most important aspect is the last one is there any difference between the person who is using it and who is paying it? This is the problem, the third bullet I faced throughout my career. In MKCL, because those examples are going to come now hereafter quite frequently. I'll tell you what all I did personally. One was student lifecycle management, where, from admission to alumni, the ERP was developed. Second was online admission. All Maharashtra, Gujarat, Bihar, so many states online admissions counseling we did. Third is web-based recruitment. The fourth was e-tendering. And fifth, we offered various IT literacy courses when I was in Rajasthan. So, but in this case, when we were implementing ERP in university, the user payment was made by university, and user were university staff as well as student and college staff. So there was always a challenge. Some complaint by college or student used to, cause delay in our payment. So when we were initially designed the product, we focused on the university requirement, but in due course of time, when the time of payment, release of payment came into the picture, we realized that payment may be released by university, pay may be university, but the users are different, so we have to cater their requirements also. So it may happen. So that is the first thing. Similarly, what is the problem as such? What are the pain areas? Are the customer aware of that pain area, or it's just theek hai, chalta hai, there is some problem, something like that? Then whether the solution or the minimal viable product which we are visualizing is addressing these two. And similarly, how currently the customers are solving their today's problem. Are they using competitor product or some workaround so that the jo possible hai wo kar le rahe? Or why we see that our product is better than the alternatives available? Similarly, what is the cost of the problem and how much they are going to pay? This is one more problem, which we faced quite frequently. What is the cost of the problem? So in online admission, when online admissions were not there, the student have to come to a central location, stay there for 2-3 days, pay for lodging, boarding, pay for transportation. So minimum cost was 5,000 rupees for the applicant. And we offered the business model 50 rupees per student. So the 50 rupees and 5,000 was comparable. So there was no resistance as such, because the benefit of cost on very higher side. So similarly, when we talk about ROI, so once you identify this, what is your first hypothesis? What is your second hypothesis? You keep on comparing. This is a typical way of doing it structurally. When I started working on all these aspects, it was gut feeling, and based on experience we used to do. We were never so structured in nature. Now I feel that 10 years ago, had I been structured to such an extent, probably result would have been much, much better. But anyway, you are there to make better business now. So for that, to see whether the minimal viable product, whether the prototype or idea is going to do some business, we have to go for build, measure, learn, feedback loop. We have to go through that. What hypothesis is there? How to check the hypothesis, whether the hypothesis of growth or value, and iske basis pe whether we should first prepare a prototype or video or minimal viable product. If we make a minimum viable product, how we are accounting the innovation. Some things are going to fail, some things are going to work. How the failures are going to be considered as learning and how they are accounted for. Then how we are creating milestones of learning, whether we are continuing with the same MVP and same hypothesis, or we pivot and take a detour and explore some other options. And doing all this, how we minimize the total time. So let's talk about the minimum viable product. So we have around 50 minutes, madam. More?
Yes, sir. Yes.
So 40 minutes plus 10-minute question answer, because
Sure.
A lot of question answer is currently going on.
Sure, sir.
When we talk about startup, many a times we really not aware of how many customers and who will be the customers. So minimum viable product is not necessarily going to be, a product which can satisfy the mainstream customers, but it is a, with less investment, trying to see whether our vision and the product are in line with the expectations. And those feedbacks, continuous feedbacks, whether to add features, whether to reduce features, and all those things will happen. And the MVP is to see whether we have really correctly understood the problems of the prospective customer by defining some key features. So MVP is a learning and a journey towards final product. It's not the perfect final product. And it may happen that minimum viable product may not necessarily be a grand success, but we should be ready to be prepared to change as quickly as possible. How I have gone through this cycle of minimum viable product, I will share. We developed the student life cycle management framework for public universities. Now, initially we created prototype, and what we did that we decided to address enrollment section, pre-exam section, exam sections. These three sections, we thought that we will address their problems first. So what we did, every month from universities of Maharashtra, we used to call them at Pune for a one-day meeting. We used to show them the prototype and seek their input. And based on their input, we used to create minimum viable product. And every time the product used to move upward. So this continued for about 5 full years to develop the complete ERP, gradual moving. So that was, taking care of customer. But in that process, we failed at some places also, where I will show you, the minimum viable product क्या नहीं है और क्या है, ये बहुत सुंदर पिक्चर से डिपिक्ट हो रहा है. I like this picture, so thought of sharing with you. What is not is also to be known, then what is it? First two are not minimum viable product. Is it clear?
Sir, is it sort of something in lines with design thinking?
Of course, design thinking is the most built-in part. The moment we consider empathy, the heart of the design thinking is empathy only. And of course, the
Right.
lean approach also. Perfect.
So another thing I wanted to ask was,
Yeah.
when you're saying lean approach, are you talking about that lean flavor called Six Sigmas?
No, not necessary. It's not. It is,
Okay.
lean means with less person, do it with less resources as quickly as possible. Whenever required to change, keep on changing and move in the upward spiral instead of doing big and going downward spiral.
Okay. How different is this from agile process? Like
Agile is the component of one of the important component of lean approach. Agile is process.
okay, it's a part. Uh-huh.
It is a
Yes,
process.
yes.
And lean is a philosophy in which number of processes, thoughts are going to converge.
Okay, that
Right?
not the Japanese thing of not mixing and keeping it simple, clear, concise, and all that stuff is the lean you're talking about.
Yes, it is. It is a part and parcel of it. I said then I have failed. This is where I failed in early few years, only after burning money. But nobody should go to such extent. We were having a surplus, so we could pour it, and we were almost in monopoly, particularly monopoly type of business. So that could, because that time nobody was there in the educational ERP. So in those meetings, those university officials, they used to keep on asking number of reports. So I had about 1,000 reports in ERP. And every time new requirement used to be there. But then what we did is that we started measuring the usefulness of those reports. We wrote a program to identify which reports are more frequently used and show it on dashboard, and identify which are less used. So only 5% reports were frequently used, 95% were not at all used. So then what we did is that export to Excel and make whatever report you want you can. That is where we went. So that we could have done earlier and save a lot of time of development. So it was waste. And because of that, the system became complex. Searching the report was a task then. Then we have to write a program so that the most frequent reports are on the dashboard and they can use it. Something like that. So such type of failure you fall in love with your idea and client so much that you start doing everything for them. That is not correct. That is not correct. That was a past wisdom. It cannot work now. So what I mean to say is that we fail to measure the usefulness of minimum viable product, which was going ahead with more towards the complete ERP. But the measurability component was not there. We were trying to see whether the customer is satisfied or not. Customer को satisfy करना इतना आसान नहीं है. जीवन भर आप satisfy ही करते रहते. So, but then if you have a measurability, had we shown those parameters what we are measuring, whether you are doing it or not, the life would have been simple. These questions when were asked, almost every answer was yes for us. And that is how we made the product so complex. Then now we are redesigning it through new technology so that those complexity can be avoided. So to measure the growth, profitability per customer, cost of acquiring new customer, repeat purchase rate, retention rate. But unfortunately, most of the startup, they just measure the growth in numbers. And that is what we also did. MKCL was not a startup, but the wing which I was leading, we were independently strategic business unit and we were much like a startup only. Much like a startup only. So that is why I could correlate many of these things. Few things, I practiced, but I was not knowing the principles, to be very, very honest. Now I realize that, had those been converted into principles, life would have been much simple for me. Now, can you see this graph? If you see this graph, what is your say about the success of this possibility of success? Or we are heading in the right direction or not? Forget about success or failure. Are we in the right direction or not? Looking at the graph. First graph is registered customers. Second graph is customer logged once. Third is customer who activated. And fourth is who have paid and are active. Is the vector direction
A lot
correct?
of customers are inactive.
That is one aspect. But we are progressing or not progressing?
It's a great progress.
Beg your pardon?
It's a great progress. It shows a great progress.
Great progress. What we measure, whether it is...
I'm saying is it's slightly, because if a person is not being active or after registering, if they're not using it, we are kind of doing something wrong that is making them not use the product.
So what to measure is equally important. If I want to measure which gives me satisfaction, then I'm going to move in the wrong direction. Now let us see this second graph of the same organization. This is cohort and split. If you see the paid customer, they are not increasing. Whereas here I see cumulatively, I feel that I am in the right direction. So if I measure this, my efforts are going to be in the right direction. I'm going to burn money. But if I create such type of chart, so what is to be measured and how it is to be measured consistently is equally important. So generally, cohort diagram are better to derive actionable and auditable version of measure. Am I clear?
Yes, sir.
When we are in the business, there are going to be numbers, there are going to be some growth, there are going to be some positive results, as you could see in this. Right? This is common because when you are working hard, something like this is going to happen. But the most dangerous aspect is if you fall in love with this, instead of critically looking at it, the other aspect also. And in our country, the value system or the way we have been brought up, perseverance has been considered as one of the most desirable quality. Koshish karte raho, hard work, hard work. Sometime result will come. But in startup, that's not always going to be true. You have to stop somewhere and see, should I continue with this or discontinue? Accept the failure, take the learning and do afresh something new. So that is where most of the time that perseverance burn our money. आइडिया के लिए इन्वेस्टर्स बहुत मिल जाते हैं, लेकिन जब नंबर्स आने लग जाते हैं तब इन्वेस्टर्स और कैश फ्लो ये सब प्रॉब्लम शुरू होते हैं, बिकॉज देन द पिक्चर इज मोर क्लियर टू द इन्वेस्टर एंड दे स्टार्ट tightening the gears screws. Then employee unrest or layoff, all those things happen. That is just because of we fail to identify where to stop and take a pause and take a new direction. So the minimum viable product should help us to generate right type of data to take correct decision, absolutely align with our vision. What was one of the participants said, sometimes we have to learn what the customer really want, not what they want to say or what they want they should have. और ये प्रॉब्लम तो मेरे लाइफ में, बिकॉज आई वाज सर्विंग मेनी ऑफ द गवर्नमेंट क्लाइंट, I was walked down with these problems quite frequently. Quite frequently. जो चीज वो मंथली मीटिंग में कहते थे कि ये बहुत अच्छी है, बहुत जरूरी है, when we used to take meeting at university campus, they had to have some other feedback and they were the first person to criticize, ये काहे को करने की जरूरत. So I failed to, who is the customer, ये भी पता लगना बहुत जरूरी है. That time we focused on university officials and developed the framework. We failed to identify the role of the colleges and the students, and that is how, we had some teething trouble. So preserve or pivot is a very crucial decision. So I'll take some of the examples in which I have gone through. One of the innovation that we have done in the field for greenhouse, something like that. We were promoted by government, but we were private company, publicly traded company, but we were supposed to do something good for the government also, as mandated. So we created a framework wherein all government schemes were configured and users अपने लिए कौन सी applicable scheme है वो identify कर सके. So we created a framework. We have shown to the government officials. They were very happy. The moment we took it to the end user, the farmers or the beneficiary, बहुत ज्यादा लोग उतने literate नहीं थे. Even in Marathi, they could not read and identify what scheme is there. So our first lesson was to make it pictorial. All the schemes were pictorial in nature. So they can understand through picture what they want, don't want, and group of the pictures. After doing that, we have created a framework which was liked by the end user also and government appreciated. But unfortunately, nobody was ready to pay money. We continued for some time. Then we pivoted कि बस जितना है वैसे ही रहने देंगे, गवर्नमेंट यूज करती तो करे, एंड यूजर करते हैं तो करे. But what learning we accounted for is that since those schemes were diverse in nature, we have to create eligibility criteria. So we have created a general purpose eligibility engine. What we did is that we utilize that general purpose eligibility engine for online application, web-based recruitment. So the technology was repurposed, and then we went into online application where we made some good money. We went into web-based recruitment where while form filling only, applicant could do no wrong. ये principle adopt करने के लिए ये eligibility engine जो हमने यहाँ define किया था, that we could utilize. So preserve or pivot is the question always going to come in mind, and we have to be very honest at that particular point. So pivot is nothing but a detour that we generally take when we are moving in our business plan, aligned with the vision, of course. So what are the sign which indicates that there is a requirement of pivoting and taking a deroute, taking a call, second call about what we are doing? Should we continue? Should we change? Should we stop? All those things. This also happened with me. The politeness, when they used to come to our office, they used to be very appreciative and Acknowledging wow, बहुत अच्छा features हैं. And we thought that yes, that's correct, let us work on it. Only later on came to know that, they were the not right person to take feedback. They were appreciative, but this feedback is not the traction which is going to bring business to us. So this happens. And many a times all of us, we avoid admitting our failure because we have so much money put in, so much passion, so much vision. So, but at one point of time, you have to take that call, and it's always essential. Third thing is that we start blaming external factors, like university wale aise hi, college aise hi. That is not the way to, do business. We have to see that they are our client, how to see that they are served better. Nobody is, unnecessarily going to blame. It is we who is responsible for any blame most of the time. Similarly, we ignore the hard data. जो data हमने दो graphs जो देखे थे, first graph we liked it, so we continue with that, and we ignored the hard data which was put in the second type of graph. So that is very, very essential. Similarly, small traction, थोड़ा बहुत business बढ़ रहा है, तो then you feel like अभी और कोशिश करेंगे तो ये बढ़ जाएगा. ऐसा ज्यादा समय तक होता नहीं है, तो then we have to take a call. So if you want to pivot, the first step is recognize the sign. Those 5 signs are there. Conduct a candid evaluation. Don't afraid of changing, because it is you only who has taken the first decision. It is you only who can take the second decision. And of course, we have to iterate carefully and leverage the team expertise. Generally, when hard decisions are to be taken, they are taken in अब मैं ही ले लेता हूं. But that should not be the case. Involve the team also. Similarly, when we are evolving minimum viable product, when we make some changes, the 2 versions should concurrently run to see which version is better. What is the effect of new changes? What happens, we give the next version to all. So we have no way to find out whether the feature that we have added is adding value or based on past experience somebody. So what we used to do is that, I'll share you one of the important aspects. Gujaratis are very good businessmen, and we have some clients in Gujarat. So whenever we used to, next version, we used to generally launch in Gujarat, then in Maharashtra. And they are very critical about the feedback. So and very soft word they used to give feedback. So that was our split test. New feature to be introduced in Gujarat and small university. Then if it is appreciated, scale it up to all big universities where 7 lakh, 8 lakh, 9 lakh students are. So that was how, and this is what we have to do. Otherwise, most of the time it happens that we make changes and roll it out for everybody and then fail to identify what is working, what is not. And deciding with whom to test which and what is also very crucial. And that comes with your past experience about the customer. So I'll now, what type of pivots? Various types of pivots are there. These are, let us not consider them as the point where we failed. It is the point where we looked at it from a different perspective to increase the business. Zoom in pivot. What does it mean is that कि आपका जो product है, उसमें आप जब ध्यान से देखते हो, तो there are some other products. I'll share this example. I have specifically written Digital Saheli and Digital Yuva. When I was managing director at Rajasthan Knowledge Corporation, we were offering MSCIT like course, RSCIT there. And Rajasthan is a state where अगर लड़की अगर वहां पर पढ़ने आती है तो उसके साथ उसकी माँ और छोटा बच्चा भी आ जाए. What we found out is that she was waiting, mother and the kid was waiting, and the daughter is studying computer course. When we critically analyzed our own course, what we found is that application of internet was part of the course. We taken it out for ladies. because they were not required to learn MS Office, Excel, PowerPoint. Only internet component was taken out and we created a digital Saheli program. Similarly, there was Paint, various games were there. We took out that and created a program for children. So what happened, from the same course, we could create three. The moment we zoomed out and tried to find out what can be offered to other who are walking in, then we created two different programs. Later on, the program Digital Saheli was liked by government of Rajasthan, and they offered free of cost to all women of Rajasthan, and we were paid by the government. So, a client bhi badal gaya. We started something. So you have to keep on pivoting and you identify there is a business support. Similarly, zoom out. When you think that there is this application is there and it is complete, only to know that this application can be part of a bigger application. This happened with us also. When we were doing online admission, we thought that this is the complete component. But when we started working on student lifecycle management, online application was just one of the component. Similarly, those who are coming to our centers for various courses, we found that after doing these courses, they were looking for new courses. So we designed customer segment pivot. We designed new courses to those who have basic qualification, the next level and next level. So that was the experience of my, customer segment pivot. There is a customer need pivot. When you are working closely with the customer, then at times you do identify new business opportunities because of the closeness of the client that way. And secured remote question paper delivery, which was electronic delivery of question paper. We were the first to deliver it. And here there were two pivots were used. We were in e-tendering also. E-tendering is what? You submit the document and it is electronically stored, secured. And as and when the tenders are opened, the documents are visible. So the technology that and the requirement of risk minimization of the colleges and university, it created new business opportunity, secured remote question paper delivery system. So this is how you find out various business opportunities. The moment you pivot somewhere and under this uncertainty, quite frequently you have to keep on pivoting and identifying diversification opportunities, creating new products, creating allied products, something like that. Similarly, platform pivots are the most common pivot right now. Business architecture pivot. Initially we were doing e-tendering. Then the same system in e-tendering, it is the L1, जिसकी सबसे कम cost है उसको offer होता है. E-auction जिसकी सबसे ज़्यादा है. So the same framework was repurposed and it was e-auction. Then after that, we created an e-aggregator platform, a platform for educational institute, where all educational vendors and educational institute were registered and they were registering their requirement and, system was creating tenders automatically, sharing with the various vendors. And that is how at very low cost, college and educational institute got component. And here we have not charged anything to the colleges. The vendor used to pay per tender to us. So something like that happens. Similarly, value capture pivots, freemium sort of thing. So in order to hook the university client completely with us, what we did, the student lifecycle management was paid version and we offered free of cost online application. So students used to apply online to university, to various colleges, whichever college admit, then those students used to be out of login of other colleges. So that was a freemium sort of thing. If you are taking this is free. This happens. Similarly, you have to channel the pivot also. And when we were implementing student lifecycle framework in universities, most of the universities were averse of technology. But to succeed, the technology has to be used. What we created, we outsource, asked the university to outsource the operations of operating software framework. And that is how we created an additional business line. And we have created a channel pivot. For success of student lifecycle management in public university, one of the most important part that was paid was Student Facilitation Center, where 5 computer operators used to sit and facilitate student to college and university staff. Similarly, technology pivot. When you change the technology, the same business can be done more effectively. That is what it is called as technology pivot. Something like, this is a good example. Technology X was used to win the market Y because of the attribute Z. Now we have new technology X2 that will enable us to win the market Y2 because we have new attribute Z. Same happened. We started with 15 years ago, when we started online admissions or web-based recruitment, it was actually quasi-online. Internet was available in our MSCIT centers, and student and applicant used to fill the form and they were uploaded when the internet was available. But as and when the technology moved on, everything became online and anywhere, anytime we move. So it was same client, but a better version. When we are doing business, when we are in entrepreneurship, right time and right place होने के बावजूद भी everybody will succeed is not necessary. What differentiate is, the foresight, the tools that you use to discover your plans, whether they are working correctly or not, how effectively you are measuring, you are avoiding, notions, biases, and how correctly you are aligned your strategy with the vision. That is going to be decided. Go out of the building and start learning. This is the lesson we learned very hard. All these softwares were developed in offices. University officers used to come, they used to give input. But still then, at many points, we used to fail. We used to fail means what? The business analyst or customer support person used to tell software developer, ye karna chahiye. But they used to say this feature is available in this way or that way. So what we did, we started taking developer to the client side. जहां ऑनलाइन एप्लीकेशन फिल हो रही है, जहां रिजल्ट प्रोसेसिंग हो रहा है, जहां पर हॉल टिकट जनरेट हो रहा है, then they realize the usability challenges and then the framework became more user friendly. Go and see yourself. Here also I will share one very good example that we encountered and we realized a little bit late. We were approached by Dr. Abhay Bang Search Organization, NGO. He operates from Gadchiroli, where infant mortality rate is very, very high. और वहां पर सारी डिलीवरी जो है आदिवासी इलाका है दाई करती है, इस वजह से काफी बच्चे इन्फेंट स्टेज में ही दे डाई. So Dr. Abhay Bang approached us and said that I want to have because doctors will not go there, nurses will also not go there because those locations are not good. Only dais are to be empowered and taken to the next level so that infant mortality rate can come down. So Dr. Abhay Bang arranged various nurses and doctors and they gave us input to create e-learning platform and content to train the dais. And we created content and those contents and entire platform were highly appreciated by all doctors, Dr. Abhay Bang, all nurses, and they said that ye Marathi mein bahut acha bana hai, quite good, and I hope this will work. We went to Gadchiroli to train those dais. They were shown video, they were told so many things in Marathi, and after that, whether they have understood it or not, we asked the question in Marathi in audio form. ये ठीक है तो right tick करें और अगर गलत है तो cross tick करें. And after 1 hour training, we found that guys were not at all comfortable and they failed to understand anything. All other things that content are good, why the guys are not understanding? Then we went back to the drawing table. We went to an instructional designer and we have shown it to him. He said, this is correct, but who is your client? We said, dais. तो बोले दाइज ने कभी स्कूल नहीं गई, उनको राइट और रॉन्ग ये नोशन ही पता नहीं. The only thing you change is that wherever you want to say it is correct, एक हंसता हुआ बच्चा सिंबल आए, और अगर गलत है तो रोता हुआ बच्चा. Make these changes. We did those changes and relaunched the training program after 2 months. Thereafter, it went very well. The eyes were trained, and within 2 years, Gadchiroli infant mortality rate came down, and it was the lowest in India. But the problem is that we failed to go and see initially. एक छोटा सा मॉड्यूल बनाकर ही अगर हम उस समय गए होते तो ये पूरा रिवर्क करना नहीं पड़ता, ये साइकिल टाइम इतना लंबा. So most of the time we sit at our place and visualize and be happy. But it is always advisable to move to the end user and see how they are using their product. And if you want to see more examples of FMCG group, what I suggest is that you read a book called CEO Factory, which has highlighted many such situations and scenarios of Hindustan. So value proposition and business fit we'll talk about now. Value is that what you are offering, and this is the customer profile. If these two matches, then only there is a business opportunity. So discovery of customer and customer development, generally they go hand. So we have to keep on identifying what is the customer wanted. So the only way is go to see yourself and go out of the building. These two approaches, if you see, then the problem and solution fits are better identified. And of course, value proposition also. There can be various business fit and value proposition. Customer segment, which segment likes it, which channel, which type of demand is created, what type of revenue and pricing model, what type of partners are required, what activities are required, what type of cost structure. This all will come the moment you adopt those two principles along with the lean man. Now, you see, this is the growth chart of two company. Please tell me if you can see which company is better. Which company there is a possibility to succeed. Company A or company B. Can you see this? Are you there? Am I audible?
Yes, sir. Audible.
Yes, sir.
Which company is likely to succeed? और आप किसमें पैसा इन्वेस्ट करेंगे? Forget about that.
Company B.
You are going to invest in company B. Anybody else?
Company B. Company A. A company.
Okay. अपना justification दे, फिर then we'll talk about.
For me, company A जो है एक growth कर रही है, right? बल्कि company B जो है वो constantly चल रही है on 9%, but company A is like 2%, 4%, 5%. So more chances of company A to grow.
Correct. अब क्या हो जाता है कि हम अगर मान लो कंपनी बी है तो हम सोचते हैं 10% है ग्रोथ तो बहुत अच्छी बात है, बट दैट इज नॉट, the progress is not showing here, progress is showing. So what we measure is really, really very important. So market potential B, then you have to identify total available market and served available market. These are the two markets which total available market is the highest possible business opportunity, and served available market is the minimum market that you can capture. This you have to identify for your offering idea or product or minimum viable product. And of course, total available market, that is to all since we are in the business, it is to be measured in terms of money only. And these can be identified. There are various market research reports are available for all type of market segment. Similarly, Google Insight, Google Trends, all these reports are available, and these are to be also taken into account. So to tap the market, what to do? follow, match, or lead. When some disruptive technology is coming, then generally we try to follow it. But if the competitors are doing something new, then we have to match that, whether we like it or not. Similarly, if we have some patented item, very good novel idea, then we have to take a risk and lead it. So it depends on what type of customer, what type of idea, what type of offerings we have. We have to decide what to do. And this is the matrix that we have to observe for strategic growth. For existing product, it will be different. For existing market, it is going to be different. For new market and new product, it's going to be different. So where we are currently, we have to identify, and as per vision, in which direction we want to move is to be taken a call. So that call is to be taken, every 6 months or so in today's context. Earlier, this used to be, 2 years time when such call used to be taken. But now every 6 months, we have to take such calls. Today, it's not the question whether we can build it or not. As technology is whatever you want, you can build it. But the question is, should we build? That is a very critical question in any business. And for that, we have to have very systematic approach of the hypothesis that we have identified, the measurability component that we have identified, the pivot situation when it is. All these are, taken together before we take such call. And now we are going for some concluding remarks. I think we are, yes, in 3-4 minutes we will conclude, and then we will have some question and answer. Identify quickly which activity creates value and which are a form of waste. This measurement, who is our customer? In my life, I have failed thrice to identify the customer. And one example is there when the customer educated me about the possible business. We were doing online admission business for so many states. One of the IAS officer came to us and he told me, you do web-based recruitment. We said that we are not doing that. We don't know how to do it. They said, "Aap admission mein kya karte ho? You find out the eligibility, you prepare the merit list, and instead of admitting you, I'm going to give him appointment order." So it is the customer who educated, and we started a business line called web-based recruitment. So it so happened. So if you are closely connected with the customer, if your network is good, the customer, the vendors, they are going to educate you, and there is a possibility of a new business opportunity. Similarly, which customer to listen and which to ignore, it's a hard-learned lesson. Everybody has to learn at his own. There is no, typical, what you can say, template for that. Of course, the need of cross-functional collaboration is very, very essential now. And without making extensive investment, we have to first try MVP only. And how we are able to utilize the convergence of exponential technology or disruptive innovation is also very important. Today, using generic AI, almost 100 new ventures have been started. And one venture is offering online counseling for medical practitioners, for psychological treatment, for online admissions, for recruitment. So many, only one disruptive innovation, generic AI, and those using those API and given large data model, various models are coming into the picture. Very essential is that we have to be agile. We must understand that the current customer are going to influence by our past customer and our past action also. We must identify what is the churn rate, that is retention and new customer. In this example, 69% is the retention rate and 39% growth of new customer. Are we growing? Please, are we growing? In this case, retention is 69.
Yes, sir, kind of growing.
going. If I make it 31, then
31 what, sir?
69 is the retention rate and 39 is the new growth. 31 is the new growth rate. Am I growing? First
No.
answer is correct.
Then it is a little degrading, sir.
Right. We are where we are because 39%, 69 and 31 suppose. So 31% are leaving and we are joining 31 new. 31 new. So we are where we are. So there is no growth. So this has to be, the churn rate has to be critically monitored. And this is also very hard to understand that root cause of seemingly every technical problem is a human problem. Because ultimately technology or tools, they are applied by humans only. So finally, when we ask 5 why, we have landed every time it is the human problem only, not the technology. Because all tools, all data centers, all softwares, firewalls, everything is run, finally commissioned or deployed by humans only. Very essential to work in small team. And we have to empower them to make faster and courageous decisions. Unless we do that, we will not be able to retain the staff and we will not be able to grow. And that is where the sense of ownership comes in. In the business line which I led, typically the overall organization attrition was 15% and mine was 3%. I strongly believed in empowering teams and allowing them to take decisions. Even they make wrong decisions, they learn out of it and you have time to correct it. So, and that ownership has helped me a lot in my throughout 15 years career. Similarly, do the things in shorter cycles so that there is a scope for correction. Similarly, when you are in a big organization, if you are starting a new innovation center, don't do it in a black box sort of thing. वो कुछ लोग कर रहे हैं अपने को पता नहीं. So that creates that never creates an innovative and agile culture in any organization. Whatever innovation you are doing, it be open to all so that they know what is happening. Similarly, nothing is quite useless as doing with great efficiency what should not have been done. This happens out of love for what we are doing and not out of love for the vision. And that is why, first and second bullet, our current problem are caused by trying too hard at wrong things. Similarly, functional efficiency, we focus so much that our goal of continuous innovation is lost. And the last point is also very, very important. In all incubation center where I have visited, I have found that there is no startup testing lab. If we create startup testing lab to test the hypothesis and accounting of validated learning, probably the success rate of the startup at incubation center can go on very higher side. Symbiosis is also having, incubation center. But do you have startup testing lab?
So we are having at our Kivale campus.
Testing lab also?
Yes, sir.
Oh, great. Wonderful. That's nice to know that. Similarly, in startup is not something a linear type of thing. It's a portfolio of activities where growth and value engine is running, acquisition of new customers, servicing existing customer is going on, fine-tuning and improving its product is going on, marketing and operation is also going on, steering of the current business proposition and deciding if and when to pivot and change. This is also simultaneously going on. So it's not just one activity, it is a portfolio of activity. And as an entrepreneur, our challenge is to balance these activities and give right importance to right activity at right time. So here we end with our today's interaction. Thank you so much. Question and more information required. And let's work together to create a lean startup ecosystem for sustainable growth under extreme uncertainties. My credentials, if you at all interested in, you can note down here my email ID and mobile number. I strongly believe in taking unknown number call also, because unknown calls are many a times in business are God's call. If you fail to attend, then next call is devil's call. So if at all you make a call or drop a mail, I will definitely entertain it. At times may not be necessarily immediately, but I will respond. So here we end with our today's presentation. I'll stop sharing.